Hey there, Westerosi, and welcome back to Mike Meeple's Painting Poorly Miniature Painting Tutorials for A Song of Ice and Fire the Miniatures game by CMON Games. Today, we're going back to basics and taking a look at some different techniques for painting the Stark Sworn Swords. I'm going to be sticking fairly close to the original in-game art, though I will be taking some inspiration from the live-action depictions of the Starks in regards to the shields and banner. I'll be starting off by priming the models black, before adding a variation of Zenithal highlight using Plate Mail Metal Spray Primer by the Army Painter. Of course, you can always just prime black and paint on plate mail metal where appropriate, but this will take care of most of that for us and save us a little time. If you'd like to see more specifics on this technique, make sure you check out my how-to video. Once that's all dry, it's time to start base coats. I'm going to start off with the appropriately named Wolf Grey by the Army Painter, and use that to paint the tabard. Don't be afraid to apply multiple coats, just be sure to wait for the first to dry before applying another. Next, we'll take some basic skin tone by Vallejo and apply it to the faces of the models. After that, take some chocolate brown by Vallejo and paint the pants and sleeves that stick out from underneath the tabard, along with all the belts and straps and even the sword handles if you like. You'll also use this to paint the straps of the shields, the back of the wooden shields, and the flagpole of the standard bearer. Then I'll use German Grey by Vallejo to paint the boots, gloves, and wolf emblem on the tabard. Moving on to the flag and the front of the wooden shields, I'm going to use Dark Sand by Vallejo. And once that's dry, we'll be using some medium olive by Vallejo to add a green field at the bottom third of the wooden shields, and painting the tips of the banner green as well. Next, you can paint the facial hair whatever color you like. I'm using chocolate brown because it was already out. And then I'll take some plate mail metal by the Army Painter and do any touch-ups that are needed, and to really make some of the metal details, such as the belt buckles, pop. Once that's dry, it's time for shades. I'm starting off with Flesh Wash by the Army Painter and applying a thin layer to the faces. After that, I'll be applying some Strong Tone by the Army Painter to the tabard. Next, use Soft Tone by the Army Painter to shade the front of the wooden shields and the flag. And we'll finish off the shades by using some Nuln Oil by Citadel on the metallic portions of the armor, shields, and weapons, the back of the shields, the belts, boots, and gloves, the pants and sleeves, and the flagpole. When that's all dry, it's time for highlights and finishing touches. I'll be starting off by highlighting the face with basic skin tone, focusing on the nose and cheeks. Next, we'll take some wolf gray and highlight the tabard. We're focusing on the portions of the fabric that are the most prominent, such as the folds or where it billows outward. After that, we'll add an additional highlight by mixing together equal parts wolf gray and fog gray by the army painter. Remember that as you paint additional highlights, they should be smaller than what you had previously painted, so your brightest highlights should be quite small. We're adding a third level of highlight using pure fog gray. This highlight should be used very minimally to really make the highlights pop. Then we'll mix together equal parts of chocolate brown and flat earth by Vallejo, and use that to highlight all the brown portions of the model, such as the sleeves and pants, belts, and flagpole. To add a second level of highlight to the clothing, we'll be using Pure Flat Earth by Vallejo. And for the third, we can use Cork Brown by Vallejo. Next, use some dark sand to highlight the flag, again focusing on where it billows outward, both on the front and the back. Mixing together equal parts dark sand and ivory by Vallejo lets us add a second level of highlight to the flag. And since you have your ivory out, you can also dry brush a little of that on the front of the wooden shields. After that, use medium olive to highlight the green tips of the flag. And use a mix of medium olive and lime green by Vallejo to add a second level. And then pure lime green to add a very small third level. Once that's done, mix together equal parts German gray and neutral gray by Vallejo and highlight the boots and each individual finger of the gloves. Add in a portion of sky gray to that mix, and you can add a second level of highlight to those portions as well. After that, you can highlight the facial hair, and paint the rim of the base. And apply some Vallejo dark earth paste for texture. When that's all dry brush some flat earth on the basing, and then some Sky Gray by Vallejo to give it the color of ground frost. Now, clean up the rim of the base and spray it with some matte spray before we move on to some of our other basing techniques. I'll be using some PVA glue mixed with water to glue some of these frozen grass tufts from the army painter onto the base. In order to make my snow effects, I'll be mixing together Battlefield Snow by the Army Painter, some PVA glue, a little bit of gloss varnish, and water. There are no real measurements that I can tell you for this mix, just keep adding water and glue and snow until the texture becomes something similar to that of toothpaste. Once that's ready, just haphazardly spread some along the base to create the look of melting snow. You can also brush a little bit on the boots and bottom of the tabard to give the illusion that your army has been marching through some frozen fields. And that's it! I want to give a big shout out to all of my patrons whose generous support helped me make quality content like this. And if you're interested in becoming a patron yourself, information on how to do so can be found in the description for this video, along with links to all the supplies I used today, and a link to my blog, where you'll find more tutorials for games like A Song of Ice and Fire, the miniatures game. And if you like this video and would like to see more, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, Westerosi.